Welcome back to Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones. Last time, we developed a foothold in Imperial territory, and this time we're going to move on towards the capital and face, well, this confrontation's been put off as long as we can. It's time. Yeah, I think you know who we're going to be fighting this time. We're getting closer and closer to, to Renval, which is kind of interesting. But yes, our next destination is Zabul Marsh, and you know that's where the Emperor sent Selena, so, yeah. But before all that, I've got something that I need to do. Hi there, Ewan. Yeah. I'm just gonna cut back to when I've got him decently leveled, so I'll see you back here in a bit. No, it will not be in this skirmish because, I'm sure the enemies here are far too strong for him. I'll just be retreating out of this one. We interrupt this training to give you a weather report. Fog has been sighted at Zaha Woods. Yeah, this is what I was talking about before, although it's the first time I've actually been able to show it on camera. Sometimes skirmish maps might have fog of war, even on maps that didn't have fog normally. So in this case, the Chapter 4 map, it's got fog now. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show here. Okay, so here's Ewan now, and he's continuing the trend of being better than Lute. Ugh. He's a bit slower than he was back when Erica's Rude, but that magic, wow. This is with a 10% nerf to his magic growth in the English version, so I don't know how that happened. But, yeah, Lute, who has a 65% magic growth, has less than him, and also less speed. Anyway, though, he did go through 2 Flux Tomes through that, so I'm going to have to get new ones for him. I should mention Lute actually did end up leveling up in one of those skirmishes, which I was trying to avoid, but it did have to happen. Guess what she didn't gain? Yeah, I may have to speedwing her. But anyway, other than that, I do need to top up my staves. Oh yeah, Natasha. Yeah, the reason why she was so far behind my Erica's Route Natasha was probably because I hadn't grinded Ewan yet, and that gives a lot of experience, as you can see. Yeah, she's quite a bit higher level than she was before. Her magic is okay, her resistance is better than on the other route, though. And anyway, it's time for some inventory management. Ross, you are going to have to take that Sword Slayer. Well, you don't have to, but it's going to be useful. I guess I'll leave you with those. Eventually, I might give Ross Desel's Silver Axe, but he can keep it for now. Joshua. Okay, those weapons I find are actually enough for Joshua to get through the next chapter. Lute is going to need a bit more. Tana definitely going to need more. Actually, let's see. We are going to be facing some armored enemies, so maybe that Heavy Spear might not be a bad idea. Also, you can go ahead and take Kyle's Steel Lance, since I'm probably not going to use Kyle going forward. Oh, the Shamshir. I guess Ross could take that. Whereas, I mean, Joshua... I don't know why I keep confusing them. And as for Amelia, let's just go ahead and put that... We've got 2 one-use Javelins in there. I'm going to actually go and... enter the armory first, because you need a javelin, and Amelia needs a javelin, which may actually end up traded to Desel at some point. Joshua's fine, Ross is fine, I know someone needs something. Oh yeah, I was going to give Amelia a steel sword. Wait, 10. That would weigh her down by 1. That's probably fine, though. Although, to be honest, the Iron Sword is doing a good enough job anyway, so I think I'll keep that on her for now. Now, for the shop, you definitely need at least 1 Flux Tome. I'll just get 1 for the time being. And Lute is going to have another fire. And you are going to take... I'm going to get you 1 Mend Staff and 1 Heal. Rachel's going to take 1 Heal Staff. And also, I'm going to go and grab that Elfire Tome for Lute just in case I need it. So that should be everything we need. Actually, let me just quickly check the convoy in terms of swords we have, because having a couple of swords in the convoy might not be a bad idea. Alright, that's what I did last time. By that I mean my practice run. I'm going to give the Iron Blade to the convoy. There's a reason for this. Okay, after all that, let's move out to Zabul Marsh. Yeah, this is going to be painful. So, yeah, no illusions about it. We're fighting Selena now. So, I guess it's Camus archetype time. Not really sure what she wants to say here, whether she's gonna finish this sentence with fight them or join them. I really hope it's join them, but, And people have... Just, this is a bit of a mood clash, but I've seen people have made edits of this saying, "The orbs, please return them to me," for bad hero summoning rolls. I think this is a really nice song, personally. It's kind of Mia's theme. It usually plays in moments that involve her, but it's a really nice sounding song. Well, we know this from earlier in the game. I still wish we actually saw this moment. Some people are saying that if there's a remake, that'd make for a pretty good memory prism scene. That probably wouldn't end well. Well, at least Selena actually realizes that her king has changed. It's more than can be said for some people, but I will leave it at that because we don't want to, yeah, drag that controversy into this. And off-screen explanation. Probably because some of the things Mia is implied to be talking about are things that we shouldn't really know yet. But, of course, her Camus archetype loyalty means that she can't really allow herself to believe this. And so it's backstory time. I wonder if it's the earring that she's wearing now. It might be. And so we're going to get backstory as to why she's so loyal to the Emperor. Once again, Sacred Stones implies some pretty disturbing things for an E-rated game. Yeah, I have a pretty good idea what she's implying here. Well, it's pretty obvious that's happened. The person she's describing sounds nothing like the Emperor we've seen in cutscenes. And, well, obviously, it's irreversible. Well, it's good that she's at least not taking me a hostage. Unfortunately, she's still got the Dragonstone. And she's still completely loyal to the Emperor, even though he's effectively the person he once was is dead by now. And that's a lot of mounted enemies. Interesting looking map, too. I still find these scenes weird, how it's like the first 5 people in your unit list are the ones who appear on the map. And we had to face her sometime. And you'll know about this power if you checked out her stats back when we got a brief preview of her in Chapter 10. Something to mention, though, is this line might have been a little bit lost in translation. In Japanese, the bolting spell is actually called Thunderstorm. So, like I said, that might be a little bit of a lost in translation thing. It still makes sense in English, but it isn't directly referencing the tone that she's using. Anyway, this map I like to call the Spiral of Doom. Actually, not really Doom. I don't find this map to be particularly bad, but it's a spiral, essentially. Spiraling all the way into the boss, who is Selena herself. We've seen her before. I think her stats are exactly the same as in the preview appearance, and she has her bolting tome. Good news is there's no way she's doubling with this. Bad news is it's 10 range, 12 might, pretty powerful. Anybody with low resistance is in major danger here. The other problem is Selena doesn't move, but of course her range is shown as if she did move. It wasn't until Shadow Dragon that the series actually fixed this and showed non-moving bosses with 0 movement, so you actually have to count the range individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it's here. Basically. So her range is not quite as long as the game lets you think it is, but it's still pretty long. Anyway, who are we picking here? Well, I want to use Ewan here, because I just trained him up. Having 2 healers is also useful, because we're going to be splitting up here. Something just to quickly show off is, there are 2 villages on this map, one down here and one down here. This village is going to be in immediate danger eventually. It takes quite a while, though. This village here is also going to be in danger, but it takes a while for the enemies to actually reach it. We also need to bring Colum here for 2 reasons. This guy right here has a stealable red gem, but the real thing is this guy right here, who has a stealable speed wing. And obviously you want that. Unfortunately, I haven't trained Colum on this route, so he's actually going to get one-shotted by bolting. Which means I'm going to need to be very careful of where I put him until Selena runs out of bolting. So, anyway, like I was saying, I want 2 healers, I want Colum, I want loot. definitely not you. Yeah, these were just some supports I was grinding before. Amelia, Joshua, Ross. Here's the thing. I really do want to use Cormac here, but Ducelle has a special boss conversation with Selena, so I'm gonna have to... Yeah, I just can't fit everyone here. Something to mention is, although we only have 11 deployment slots, we actually are going to be getting reinforcements in this chapter quite soon. Reinforcements that were foreshadowed by a recruitment in the previous one. Anyway, I'm obviously going to have Joshua here, because there are some axe users to fight. Amelia will actually go over this side as well. Ducelle will go over here. I'm not sure where I should put Column. I think I'm going to send Column down this side because it should be relatively easier to lure this guy up here so I can steal, and then I'll be luring this guy in too. So I think Column will go around this side. I've got to be very careful of Selena's bolting range though, because like I said, he is going to get one-shotted by that. Ewan's going to go around here. Ross will go there-ish. Tana I'm going to have on this side as well, but I'm going to need to keep her close to Ephraim at first because, well, I was using the off-camera grinding for Ewan to grind some other things, which we'll be seeing at the start of this map. But for now, I'm going to save here, so I don't have to do the preparations again. And hey, it looks like I'm getting reinforcements the moment the chapter begins. And yes, as of recording this, I now know this is pronounced Innes. Thank you, Smash Bros. Announcer / Persona 5 protagonist. So, anyway, in this universe, Innes, I guess, it's going to take me a while to get used to that, but anyway, he sent them down here to aid Ephraim. Apparently, he was fine on his own. And luckily, Mira's arriving to tell them which army is the right one. This whole exchange that happens here is actually pretty funny because it feels similar to Noe's meeting with Gregor in Awakening. And in some ways, maybe that was directly referencing this. Like I said, Awakening referenced a lot of earlier games, so it probably was. Apparently a lot of people wanted Mir to be in Heroes as well, but we do have a lot of Manakets already. And props to you for managing to cross such a large amount of the map in a single turn. Not really. I mean, she couldn't do much about her Dragonstone being stolen. But as long as she stays protected for now, it should be fine. Yeah, probably a good idea if she moves to the rear. She can't actually fight in this state. Here's the problem, Ephraim. Look in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Yeah, this is a route chapter. So, unfortunately, we're going to be killing everyone. Sad, but true. So anyway, Garrick and Teddy's are here. I'm just going to very quickly go over their bios. Much like Marissa, Garrick joins at the same level he does on Erica's route, but several chapters later. However, Garrick's base stats are solid enough that he's still perfectly capable of handling himself at this point in the game. And so he really doesn't suffer that much by joining a bit later. He's also still at level 10, so you still have the option to promote him immediately if you want to. If anything, Garrick joining at a lower level at this point in the game is actually a benefit because his base stats are more than enough to kill the enemies here, and it ensures they give him a lot of experience because he's such low level compared to what you're expected to be at this point. So to sum up, Garrick is still very good on this route. While Teddy's also didn't get any extra levels or stats compared to Erica's route, she really doesn't need them. A dancer is a dancer, regardless of their stats. The main annoyance is that you get the dancer so late on Ephraim's route. Now that she's finally here though, she can get to work, and her work is very, very useful, especially in the next chapter. But they definitely took their sweet time giving you a dancer on Ephraim's route. I guess it is supposed to be the harder one. And for now, I like to have Garrick stay where he is, but here's one thing, so let me show you something. 75 hit rate. In fact, last time he had a 72 hit rate against this soldier. It must be different randomized stats. But anyway, hit rate around in the 70s. So I've got a story to tell you about Garrick and this first soldier. The first time that I played this chapter... You ready for this? In an off-camera practice recording, which thankfully I was able to actually get on camera due to... Joshua can't even one round this guy. Okay, then. Due to flashback recording. Oh, and I need to change the animations back on. Garrick missed that soldier, get this, 5 times in a row. I am not kidding or exaggerating the slightest. He actually missed that enemy 5 times in a row. With 75 hit rate under true hits. I've got the footage, so at the end of this turn, I'm going to show you exactly what that looked like. It has to be seen to be believed. So anyway, fighting off these enemies around here, I unfortunately aren't able to take out that one just yet. But this should be fine at this point. Now these archers, I'm gonna have Ewan try and fight them off. Make sure to equip that. Now, if Ewan goes one space further there, he'd actually be in bolting range, which might not be a bad idea to draw out some of her bolting uses, because that's going to be a real issue later on. But for now, I'm going to want to just take out these archers. There's also a javelin. Okay, this guy, yeah. Sometimes he gets into a position where Ewan can fight him. But anyway, Ross, well, Pirate Ross, who, yeah, the game makes no, illusions about wanting you to make Ross a pirate, but yeah, Pirate Ross makes this chapter quite a bit easier because he can cross these rivers pretty easily. And that lets you circumvent quite a few parts of the map. Now, Ephraim's going to go over here. I'm going to leave Tana's movement until later. Colum, okay, he's going to be outside of bolting range, thankfully. Got to watch out for that. Rachel can go around here. Yeah, because I'm probably going to need to heal Garrick eventually. And then there's Tana. I'm going to leave her movement till last. Can I get you down into a position where the hand axe won't be able to attack you? Yeah, I guess I can do that. Tana, in grinding, I left her next to Ephraim for a little while, so I was able to unlock a support conversation. I could use this opportunity to mention that Tana's voice in Heroes ended up being much more mature than I thought it would be. I always imagined her more with a much more higher-pitched, bubbly-sounding voice. But anyway, Ephraim's more going about here. It's too dangerous, you should stay back, blah, 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 blah. Although he has a good point about the archers. I guess anyone would feel safer when they're closer to Ephraim, because he's pretty amazing. Or as she says in Heroes, I will help, I think. I only saw that trailer last night, so I might have forgotten about that. Sorry that I'm following you too closely, it's just that I want to build support points. So I find that one pretty nice. And she can use the extra bit of her movement to not be beside him, which is kind of ironic considering what just happened. That conversation still isn't quite as hilarious as Kent and Fiora, I believe, their A support in FE7, where it's like, it's almost as if someone is having us wait next to each other because of... Is that Kent and Fiora? It might actually be someone else, but they pretty much break the fourth wall and say, somebody must be having us fight next to each other because they want us to romance each other. It's funny, like, that's a pairing that I actually ship, but I've never got them to an A support before. Probably because I find Fiora kind of mediocre in that game, so I've never really used her that much. Anyway, let's hope for a Shamshir crit here. Nice dodge there. Of course I didn't get one. Which means one more enemy that I have to fight next turn. Because we do need to break through this formation kinda soonish. Now, in another attempt of this chapter, Ewan missed this guy with multiple 84s. Please let this not happen here. Okay, that's the one that Ewan doesn't double. Sometimes Ewan doubles one of them, sometimes he doesn't. Wow, you're actually doing damage to Dussel, that's impressive. And there's the Javelin guy. So let me just check, 8 speed, and you have 5 speed? Wow, that's a huge difference. Yeah, last time I attempted this, you had 7 speed, so that must be, you must have got very unlucky on your growth rolls. Like I've said before, enemies do have random growth rates just like player characters do. That's how their stats are determined at the start of every chapter. So if you restart a chapter, which I actually have needed to do once, their stats will change. Now, I'm going to keep Garrick stationary, I think. Yeah, he usually doesn't double these guys. Doesn't double either of them. Because I want to make sure to lure this guy into using his hand axe, because I want that halberd, obviously. I'm going to need to press towards this village soon-ish, but I'm fine staying here for another turn. What I will do, though, is I'm going to actually send Teddy's back here, because I'm going to need to heal Garrick a little bit. And I may need to turn off Teddy's animations. I guess now that she's finally joined, I can actually do this. To make sure to set everyone like this. Everyone except Teddy's, that's fine. There we go. Now I can have you go in and heal Garrick. I probably need to use Men, because Garrick has such an enormous HP stat. Rachel's another person that people want. It's weird, like, out of morbid curiosity, I went and checked out a YouTube video talking about the new Sacred Stones Heroes characters, just because I was curious to see what the comment section would be like. I probably shouldn't have done that. It was just so much complaining, either about people who hate Sacred Stones wanting a different game, or people who like Sacred Stones saying, why no Joshua, why no Rachel? Why no loot? Especially why no loot? Like, really, did that meme seriously make her that popular? I know she was popular even before the meme, but it seems like nowadays she's only known for the meme, which is kind of sad. Now I'm going to go ahead and equip a Javelin. When I first, well, not exactly practiced, in my last recorded attempt at this, I was kind of stupid and didn't realize this guy would be able to attack her there. But, coincidentally, I had the Javelin equipped anyway, so it ended up being fine. Right, now here. I will need to break through these guys, like I said, relatively quickly, because this village is not in immediate danger, but once it does start being in danger, you have less time to save it than the other one. I'll explain exactly what I mean by that later, but you'll see. In a turn or so, you'll see. Okay, I can actually one-round you. I can do it with the steel sword, so I might as well go for that. Kind of weird how those first two fighters had a little bit too much HP and or defense for Joshua to one round. Again, random stat variations in restarting chapters. Speaking of random stat variations, strength is nice, strength is very nice. Defense is not bad either, as well. So, depending on whether or not Amelia doubles these... Okay, she doubles them. Does not double with the Horse Slayer, though. And can't one-round that thing. Okay, then. Right, how do I do this? Because I don't think you're gonna... No, you're not gonna double. Okay, here's how I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to have Loot attack one of them. Really? Really? Ah, my luck this playthrough, seriously. You'd swear this game didn't use true hit, but it does. Okay, at least I can do this, but I could have killed both of them. My plan was to have Ducel attack this guy and have Amelia finish with the Javelin. I mean, this guy is going to die next turn anyway, so we're going to have the area clear regardless, but still. I guess Natasha can go ahead and heal a little bit. Even though Wait a minute. Ewan. Oh, he's got his full health anyway, he's fine, yeah. If he'd been damaged, then I might have needed to restart, actually, because if he doubles and kills the archer, then he'd also be able to... What the hell? Are you serious? 91 is about at least 97% under true hits. This game is just mocking me for some reason. I don't even understand why this is happening. Well, at least this guy will hopefully die, although Ewan could, you know, miss both his 91s, because that's the way that things have been going for me. Sorry if I'm a bit angry, it's just that I don't know why the game's RNG is treating me this badly. In the GBA games, any hit rate above 80 is pretty much guaranteed. Okay, that's good. That's not going to kill, is well, exactly going to kill. What was I thinking? That was kind of dumb of me. Okay, yeah, so the Javelin guy's going to attack. Yeah, if he'd been hit by the first archer, then the combined forces of both of these enemies would have killed him. So, glad he wasn't hit by that first archer. And with that, Ewan is done up here. Now he just needs to catch up with everyone. And, right, some bandits have spawned, and they're threatening this village right here. They do take a while to get there, and I'll probably be in range to kill them pretty soon, so I don't need to worry too much. I mostly need to worry about this sniper, who's kind of powerful. He's very slow for a sniper, though. But the real annoyance is these Pegasus Knights. Now, these are the same low-speed Pegasus Knights. Also, someone pointed out in the comments last time, their aid is way too high for their con. It doesn't matter since enemies never rescue, but still. But anyway, their speed is pretty low, just like in Pablo's chapter, but they do have some kind of annoying weapons, and there are going to be a lot of them. These Pegasus Knights, to me, are kind of the real threat of this map. Not so much individually, but in large numbers, they tend to swarm all over the place like flies. That's really the best way to put it. Right, let's see what we do here. Guess I'm going to go ahead and go for this. Well, that was unnecessary, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take that too! Extra strength, always a good thing. And now... Okay, you're Lance Cavaliers. Well, one of you's a Lance Cavalier. I need to watch out a bit. But I can lure that guy into using his hand axe from here. Of course that would miss. Okay, that's a Sword Cavalier, so Ephraim's going to be my best bet, taking him out. Thank goodness we finally have a dancer, huh? Okay, there we go. That guy's done. We should be able to press forward soon. Anybody need heal? Well, Garrick needs slight healing. Now, Ross, your sword... Yeah, you are Sword Cavaliers. Also, we've got to be very careful because we are approaching bolting territory. Kind of like having Ross go around here. You have to watch out for that, but I do have Rachel with the Restore Staff. Oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this, but in grinding she did reach a C rank in Starve, so she can use Restore now, which is going to be very, very helpful for the next chapter. Don't know if I've mentioned this before, but as a sneak preview, Erica Chapter 14 had a Berserk Staff that was relatively easy to avoid. Not so with Ephraim Chapter 14. You kind of have to deal with Berserk Staffs whether you like it or not, so having Restore is essential. Guess Column's going to be fine around there. Like I said, I could use Ewan to bait out bolting, but I kind of want him to keep going. That guy, by all rights, should be dead by now. I am pretty annoyed that he survived. Thank you for actually hitting that one. Okay, now Joshua's Lance Reaver can actually help here, especially against the incoming Pegasus Knights, although that's not going to quite be a kill. This will be, though. Do have to be careful of loot, because the Pegasus Knights are a bit of a threat to her. They usually don't double her. Well, even my super speed screwed loot problem won't get doubles. But it only takes 2 of them to pretty much kill. Now, that guy's got a killer axe, so I'm going to need to make sure I equip a sword here. Does exactly enough to kill, though, which is nice. I must say, I've been very happy with Amelia on Ephraim's route. She's actually got pretty blessed. Like, those are some pretty impressive stats. I've probably got lucky with her growths overall, but still, like I said, those are some pretty impressive stats. Actually, oh, that's a javelin. Okay, 52 evade. How much do you have? 51 evade. Although that's with a slight weight. Yeah, Joshua's bad luck makes him sometimes not the best person to dodge things, even though he still kills things pretty effectively. Okay, that'll give him 20 might. How much defense do you have? 4. Yeah, that's 16 times. That's not quite enough. Okay. Oh, right, but with weapon triangle advantage, it will be enough. Almost forgot about that. That's fine. We're kind of fighting on multiple fronts here, as you do quite often. Yeah, that crit rate is a bit scary, but with such a low hit rate, that's probably fine. Like, for that to have both hit and critical would have been absurdly unlucky. That's not going to double, is it? The Steel Blade is one of the few weapons out there that weighs Garrick down, so that's kind of why he's not been doubling lately. Okay, a couple of enemies are going towards Ross. He does have that Sword Slayer just in case. Alright, now I remember why I like Ross around here, because he can fight the Pegasus Knights. Might need to have Tana do that soon too. Do have to be careful of Tana, because bolting from Selena actually hurts her quite a bit. Like, not as much as it hurts other characters, but with her low HP, it can add up pretty quickly, especially if several other enemies attack her in the same turn. And there's a second bandit down there, but at this point, I'm not that worried. This forest here is going to slow his movement down a little bit. This map is kind of interesting in that while it is very cavalry heavy, there's also a lot of forests that are positioned in just such a way that the cavalry don't have as much mobility as you'd think they do. Yeah, of course, that's not going to be a kill. Maybe, though... Yeah, that's going to do it. It's obviously not in range of that sniper or anything. Gotta be careful of those Pegasus Knights, though. But having a Pegasus Knight of my own is definitely helpful here, being able to circumvent the rivers and contribute to whatever front she needs to. Okay, please tell me you double that guy. Good. So this should get me the halberd. I like the mercenary dodge animation as well in the GBA games. It's like they just nonchalantly hold their blade up in the air. Okay, speed is good. Speed is very good, because that's a 30% growth, otherwise known as the same as Ross's speed growth, so pretty unreliable. Oh, Ewan can't quite get into range. Like I said, I do need to be moving kind of fast here, but it shouldn't be that bad. I don't even know why they sent a second bandit for this map, because by the time you stop the first bandit, you're in more than a good enough position to block off the second one from ever being a threat to that village. Okay, like I said, you are a sword cavalier, but what I want to do here is, I want to get Ross into a position where sometimes the hand... Actually, that's bolting, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Yeah, that's definitely bolting. 26, and Ross has 6, so that's 20 damage. Ouch. 20 damage, you do 6, that's 26, and you do 14, and 10, 4 with weapon triangle disadvantage, 3. That is enough for him to survive the turn, though if Ross gets put to sleep too close to Selena, that could end in major disaster. Yeah, that Pegasus Knight's always going to be in a position where Ross will be able to get to her with the Javelin anyway, so I might as well focus on... I don't like wasting the Sword Slayer doing this, because I'd rather use it on things that, well, where the Slayer part of it actually kicks in. But anyway, might as well boost Ewan a little bit forward. Get him to contribute faster. Now, I also need to be very careful about Column, because like I've definitely pointed out, bolting does one-shot him. If you have a trained Column, you don't need to worry about that, but I don't, so I obviously do need to worry about that. I find that one of the biggest threats in this map overall is, and this is kind of a weird thing to say in a firearm game, but information overload. There's just so much you have to keep track of in this chapter. There's a lot of enemies that are scattered around all over the place, and it can get pretty overwhelming sometimes, just the sheer amount of information that you've got to keep track of here. I could go for that here, but I also could have Decel. Wow. Yeah, that is pretty painful. Gonna go for this, though. Just because I don't even need the Silver Axe. And theoretically, an 80 hit rate is pretty reliable in this game. Theoretically. Okay, I've cleared out this area faster than I normally do, which is definitely a big help. Gonna have to contend with these guys incoming soon, and also that Pegasus Knight. Oh, you can reach loot if she goes there and blasts that guy from a distance. But that's not bolting range, so I think loot would still be okay. Just want to get this guy out of the way. Like I said, the left village isn't under threat as soon, but once it does come under threat, you have much less time to save it. The reinforcements that go for it spawn much closer to it than the bandits to the other village. Yeah, but it's kind of interesting how information overload is the issue here. Just, it's often hard to keep track of the sheer number of characters who could... The sheer number of enemies who can gang up on one of your characters at once. Because there are quite a lot of them here. And it's going to get even more hectic as well. Hitting with a 44, that's not going to double, is it? Yeah, of course it isn't. Because seriously, so many Pegasus Knights. There are going to be even more of them soon. That's a pretty amazing hit rate to have with a weapon triangle advantage. I mean, it is an axe, but still. It's not like these are FE6 axes, which are hilariously stupid in how inaccurate they are. Okay, that doubling I blame on this Pegasus Knight having non-existent con and using a javelin. Oh, hi there, Selena. Yeah, fittingly she has the powerful foe theme, being one of the main generals. That's another one of the aspects of information overload you need to keep track of, is who's in range of bolting and who isn't. Because that can make a lot of difference here. And yes, 3 more Pegasus Knights. They're really just swarming this map. get the feeling that if Ross goes there, he might be a target of the sleep staff, and like I said, I don't want Ross to fall asleep right in front of Selena. That would be really terrible. He does one-shot the Pegasus Knights, though, which is pretty good. But yeah, I should be in a position to block off this bandit now. That sniper, though, does worry me a little bit. Okay, and I also need Garrick to pull an Iron Blade or even the Worm Slayer. Just another sword out of the convoy, one that doesn't weigh him down. Okay, Ephraim does need a little bit of healing. And yeah, here's where things get annoying because the Pegasus Knights can quite easily reach more fragile characters like Teddy's or Rachel, or in this case, Colum. So it's another aspect that you need to keep track of. Like I said, information overload can be an issue. It's often easy to lose track of the number of enemies that can attack someone in any given turn, especially given bolting is a thing. Which can go all the way up to there, so I'm going to move Ephraim down here, actually. Now, that bandit often likes to attack rather than go for the village, so he might even just attack Ephraim and I'm going to be fine, but... So, Tana, like I said, can be in some danger if she gets attacked by a lot of enemies and then gets hit by bolting. Do I risk this or not? I really don't want Ross to fall asleep. I also don't want Ross to die to... Where are the other Pegasus Knights? That's something else I need to keep track of. Okay, Ross gets attacked by 3 Pegasus Knights and bolting. The Pegasus Knights are not going to do anything to him, so I think that should be okay. Actually, wait, 2 Pegasus Knights and bolting, because one of them is dead now. But yeah, neither of you can reach. You can't reach either. I wonder if I should lure you guys in with Amelia or not. Because I am going to need to head down here and start clearing out the enemies near this village, but... Usually these enemies move around here by now, so I'm a bit unsure of what exactly I'm going to do here. Of course, if I move Joshua up there, he can get attacked. If I equip the Lance Reaver, though, the Pegasus Knight is not going to be a threat at all. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, bolting is around here. Having to manually count out bolting every time. So that space right there. So if Joshua goes up to that space, which is conveniently as far as he can move, keep that Lance Reaver just in case the Pegasus Knights go for him. I also need to heal Loot now. If she's only getting attacked by 1 Pegasus Knight per turn, it's fine, but 2 or more is usually doomed, especially if they use Steel Lances on her. I wonder if I should just leave Loot there. She's doing a pretty good job of deterring the Pegasus Knights. As for what Amelia's gonna do... Okay, yeah, you got a Dragon Spear, so if you've got Cormag here, you need to watch out for that. I wonder if I should send Decel here. I really want to get these 2 supports, but it seems like they have a kind of low support growth rate. That's a Steel Sword. That reaches all the way up here. Don't want to provoke too many enemies before it's time. And this is definitely bolting range. Okay, that guy's not in range of anyone, which is good, because last time that guy actually killed Garrick, because I succumbed to information overload and forgot that he was even in range. I can't really do anything with you at the moment, so I'm just going to have to do this. Do have to really be careful of Rachel and Colum thanks to all these Pegasus Knights flying around, but it should be fine if they're just around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like I said, information overload. There's a lot to keep track of in this chapter. And I'm gonna keep loot here. Yeah, of course that wasn't gonna be a kill, but it's okay. I mainly did this just in case the Pegasus Knights went for him. Okay, yeah, that is actually pretty painful. This is why you need to be careful, because Selena's bolting actually does a pretty decent amount of damage to Tana despite her high resistance. Around 16 or so, so... if Tana gets hit by too many things in one turn and then gets hit by bolting, I've said this before, but yeah, she can quite easily die. Speaking of quite easily die, that's what that guy did. I am liking Cavalier Amelia a lot. I know that, according to Heroes and Awakening, Knight is her canon. Her strength is wow. Like, I don't think she's meant to have that high strength. And like I said, this guy prioritizes attacking over getting the village. But, yeah. Yeah, Knight is technically Amelia's canon promotion, but I still like to think that, I like Cavalier better. I have never had much success with her as a Knight at all, and very few people have, I can tell. Oh, wow, nice one. I was about to get annoyed at Ross not killing that thing, but, that's good. One less Pegasus Knight is always a good thing. Because they're just so irritating in this chapter. Yeah, thought you'd go for Ross. I will admit, bolting does look very cool. And, also kind of scary prospect at getting hit by lightning while standing in a river. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I was worried about. Although I can rescue with Tana if he does get hit by this. Which he did not, thankfully. I might still have to rescue with Tana. And one more Pegasus Knight for some reason. This one was just the latecomer. They're like, wait for me, guys, wait for me!